Three? Here.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
And here we go. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and today is July 3rd. We have one more day to go, and we'll be independent. We'll be an independent nation. We always have been an independent nation, and I'm very proud of that. I tell you, there's a lot of flags flying in my neighborhood, and I'm so proud of all these flags flying. And today I went through my Instagram, and I was looking at all of the houses that had flags out in front of them. It was a beautiful sight to see, even here at our main gate where I live. At the main gate, we have flags flying, and I tell you, you just well up with pride when you see that flag. Now, a lot of you are going to say, the American flag is nonsense. The American flag is very important because this is what symbolizes the independence that we got and the Constitution that we got and the freedoms and the liberties that we are protected with. And that flag flies high, representing the individuals who died for this country, the blood, the stars. It's a beautiful sight. I hope you guys have your flags flying. I love 4th of July. I have two holidays that I truly enjoy, and it's Thanksgiving and July 4th, and they all happen to deal with people. That's the best part, is that the American people are the most generous and wonderful people. Now, sometimes you meet a bitch, but most of the time, you guys out there are wonderful people, and I'm glad that you're listening to me today. I'm going to talk about the economy just a little bit. I tell you, the biggest lie that's being told to you right now by the president in the White House and certain members of the Federal Reserve, that the economy is going along great. But it's not. It's the biggest campaign lie ever told. Our economy still is not going along as we should have it. I was reading an article today, and it said that the Federal Reserve, finds that 37% of U.S. firms are close to default. That's not non-financial firms. We're talking about firms like my firm and firms like a grocery store, firms like that, the companies that are owning businesses. 37% of U.S. firms are close to default. Americans are not spending as much as they used to. They don't want to pay those big prices anymore. They're trying to live on a very limited budget of spending, which is good, because I preach that all the time. If you don't have the money, don't spend the money. Don't charge it up. Don't charge your bills. That's the other issue that we have at the moment, is that since money is not coming in like it used to, expenses are way up to override any wage increases that they might be getting, that they're no longer spending. And I'm in the same boat. I'm no longer spending like I used to spend. Now, when I go to the grocery store, I'm literally counting the dollars as I put it into my basket to see exactly what it's going to be at the end. And I've got to make that last. I've got to make that food last. 37% of U.S. firms are close to default. I was also reading another story, and all of these are linked down below, so if you want to read the full story, they're linked below. But this is about an individual. He's a small business owner, and so he revealed to this writer the true cost of Biden economics. And his statement was, "We're hurting." Now, I know how he feels because I'm in the same boat. I am truly in the same boat. The story reads like this. President Biden has adopted the term Bidenomics to tour his economic policies ahead of the 2024 election. While the president remains confident in his economic plan, critics like One Georgia small business owner insists inflation is still hurting Americans. Now I'm going to tell you this. It is hurting Americans. Every single one of you out there are hurting. I'm hurting. He goes on and he goes, I don't know what he's looking or where he's looking. He's not looking on Main Street. He's not looking at small businesses because we're hurting. It hasn't gotten any better for us. He owns Manuel's Tavern, owner Brian Maloff. He said that even his employees are having a hard time because they're getting these rent increases of $400. Let me tell you, when you get a rent increase of $400, and then you look at all the expenses of trying to move someplace cheaper, it's non-doable. It just is non-doable. So he goes, so being an independent restaurant, we can take really quick action. We purposely delayed. That's important that you understand. We purposely delayed our price increases because I wanted to believe that the transitory inflation I talked about was real. And I did not want to be a business that was in some panic-driven price increase, unnecessary situation and putting a burden on our customers, Madoff explained. So we delayed that to our detriment because when Jerome Powell spoke to Congress and said we need to stop using the phrase transitory, to be honest, the floodgates opened. Despite claims during the pandemic that in the early months following, many economists claimed inflation was only transitory issue. Years later, inflation remains a problem for American families with consumer prices up 15% from January 2021. The inflation problem faces many small businesses like Manuel's Tavern to pass costs on to consumers in order to survive. Madoff raised prices across the menu at the Atlanta staple by about 6.5%. I've had to raise my prices too as a small business guy. I just had to. My cost of living has increased. It's gotten worse. So when you hear the president talking about, oh, we have a great economy, we're creating jobs, but we're losing jobs at the same time. And inflation has not been curbed. No matter what the Federal Reserve does, inflation still remains, and Americans are suffering from it. And you're at that point where you say, do I keep going or do I go out and work at Burger King someplace and just bring in a normal salary? I mean, those are the questions that are going through small businesses' minds. What do I do? Because my prices keep going up, my food costs keep going up, the gasoline, the transport is going up. So we're in that situation. I'm in that situation too of what do I do? Because my clients are now very slow pay. I'm 60 and 90 days out. And that's really tough. Very tough to survive. And there's another story I want you to read down below because I put these links down there. And it's titled, Americans Get Poorer as Expenses Surge. And it's true. Expenses have surged for all Americans. So I get really frustrated and I get really mad. And I don't know how to go to the White House and shake the president and say, wake up. Americans are still suffering. Our businesses are almost collapsing and some are going into bankruptcy. We've seen such big bankruptcy numbers of small businesses going out since Biden has taken office. How do you reach out to the president and say, don't give me this bullshit, pardon the language, about the economy? Don't flaunt what you think you've done when you really haven't done anything. The biggest political lie that we're being told at the moment is that the economy is strong. It's not strong. We have so many red flags on the horizon. We have commercial loans that are defaulting, and it's going to get worse. That's going to put a strain on the banks. we have more and more cars being repossessed because people are defaulting on their car loans. They can no longer afford a $1,000 payment a month. We have small businesses collapsing. We have a weak banking system at the moment who are going through a stress test at the moment to see if they can survive. What comes out of that stress test, I don't know, because they take months to do sometimes. But for anybody in government to come out and lie to us, to our face, and we know that by the way that we're living, that what they're saying is so untrue, such a lie. Now, there will be some of you who are going to come back and say, oh no, we're not suffering. Listen, I advise small businesses, a lot of them. And when they tell me their story, I can hear the pain. They don't know in which direction to do. Do I default on this loan? Do I keep paying payroll, or do I lay people off? Do I pull back on certain products that we're manufacturing? I mean, the questions go on and on and on. Then we have to look at the whole picture of the business. But they're suffering. Their employees are suffering because some of them have been laid off because the company can no longer sustain their payroll on their financial statement. I hate to be lied to. I think I've told you that before. I hate to be lied to. And what's coming out of the government, what's coming out of the White House, what's coming out of Biden, that the economy is just fine, it's great, it's growing by leaps and bounds. Can't believe them. Because you and I, we feel this impact of inflation. We feel it every single day. And we know that the money that we're bringing in is not keeping up with inflationary costs. The expenses are going up. It's no longer a situation where somebody can come out and lie to us on this. Just can't do it. In this article it goes, Americans are getting poorer as expenses climb and savings dwindle. According to a new survey from Lending Club Corporation, the parent company of Lending Club Bank, a digital marketplace bank, in May of 2023, the Fed released the economic well-being of U.S. households in 2022, the latest edition of an annual report commonly used in measurement of financial well-being. Since 2013, these annual reports have tracked consumer stated ability to afford a $400 emergency expense, a number that seems outdated in today's economic environment, which it is. Lending Club and payments have examined the issue since 2022 and have found that the $400 benchmark does not accurately reflect today's consumer experience per a press statement. In fact, 2/3 of the unexpected expenses consumers experience cost more than the benchmark of $400, with 41% spending double that amount or more. And they're true. Expenses have gotten out of hand. Look at your utility bills, higher. Gas bills higher. Food bills higher. Everything's higher. Except our wages. Our wages can't keep up with it. So let's pray to God that something happens very soon, because this is going to be a long time of inflation and recession. Listen, if you have any questions, send it to me at thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. And if you would like to sit down and talk about business issues confidentially and get some feedback, you can go to my website at www.lodge-co.com. Everybody, I hope you have a great day. One more day, and we're independent again. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your grace, your amazing grace. Thank you for the way that you forgive me every day. Thank you for your grace, your amazing